the irony of wanting to talk about impatience when I had to be patient to have my Wi-Fi completely reboot because it's been acting up all day. So if for whatever reason this is pretty choppy, just know that the internet is playing strange games on us today. I guess Facebook is down, Instagram is down, Twitter, I just read, is down as well. I didn't think Twitter was down, but anyway, no big deal. We'll be all right. We'll survive a day with just LinkedIn and YouTube, which is where we'll be streaming to today, and chit-chatting. And as always, please come into the chat box. Let me know you're there, you're listening, and offer your insights and ideas. And, we get some really great ideas collectively coming in this community. So I would love to ramp that up. All right, impatience. Let's talk about it. Now, this is a topic because it's something that I am personally working on, because I am a fairly impatient person. I would say that. And it's really showing up for me in the 75 hard challenge that I'm doing. And it's showing up in a very interesting way. So with 75 hard, you have to check off every day that you've done the specific tasks that you need to do. And so here are the ones that I've already, done out for today, right? But I am desperate to push the other one and the other one and the last task, right? To get it done. And it's like, you haven't done that yet. And I found myself wishing to get to the end of the day. And then I thought, oh my God, life is so short. Why do we want to rush things? Why can't we, forgive the cliche, but why can't we savor the moment, savor the journey, and go through all of the different steps to get us to where we want to go? And so I've been playing a lot with this, but it's not just in the 75 hard. I think that what it does is it magnifies, the challenge is magnifying little patterns within my own self and exposing even more self-awareness, which, I'm all for, right? Compassionate curiosity. Let's figure out, how do I continue to strive to show up better and be better and be more successful? But impatience has been a theme for many people who I know, especially people who are really driven, who have big plans and goals. And especially when you see where you want to get to, and you've got people who are, part of on the bus, right? Helping you get there. And maybe they don't work at the same speed as you do, or they don't manage the same level of expectations as you do. I've definitely seen that happen. And I know, the first time that I started to really become self-aware of my personal impatience, and let me know if you resonate with this at all in any way, is I did the Kolbe Index. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a personality test, and there's no wrong or right answer, just different options. And on the different scales, so I am a 10 on quick start. Okay, so a 10 on quick start. Now, if you know what a Kolbe Index is and what quick start means, that will be really easy to understand, and you'll be like, oh, yes, very impatient. And if you don't, I'm going to explain it, but not before saying hello to Greg. Good afternoon, Greg, coming to us from YouTube, I see, with the little thing there, because, you can't come from Facebook because nobody's there today. I wonder what a day without Facebook is going to do to our world. I feel bad for people who had launches planned. Anyway, okay, so quick start. Essentially, a quick start is someone who has an idea and says, okay, yeah, and just kind of thinks they see all the different pieces of the puzzle and goes for it. And then will regroup if they need to as they go. And I'm very, very, very much like that, right? Oh yeah, want to do this. I'm going to go do that. And if it doesn't work, no problem. I'm all right with failure. I can embrace that. We'll just adjust and we'll find it this way. And then we'll go this way. And then we'll go this way. Right. And so that's a quick start. And I think one of the biggest things with quick starts is a level of impatience, because most people are not a 10 on the quick start chart. Got another comment here. Charity, how are you? Oh my gosh, yes, I can see the goal. I can feel the goal, but holy cow, I want it yesterday, right? It's that dopamine hit of reaching the goal. So there are a few different ideas and different things that I'm playing with that I hope will help you as well. So first of all, as I've been on this journey over the course of the summer, and I guess now we're into fall, reading all of these books on growth mindset and mental discipline, I call it instead of mental toughness, is the falling in love with the steps along the way instead of the outcome. Because when we're attached to the outcome, then there's not a lot of gratification between each of these. And you know what, in fairness, I guess I talk about this in my book, Take Back Your Weekends, Stress Less, Do More, Be Happier. When I talk about how we want to, like with our tasks, because we get overwhelmed, we have a lot of projects on the go, we got a lot of things we've got to do. And, if we're only connected to the ultimate, like, I'm going to complete this entire project, then we actually have a long way before we feel that sense of full gratitude. And like what we're saying here is that, like, that impatience. And so it's interesting how in certain places in my life, I've really been able to figure out, okay, how do I feel accomplished on the journey, as opposed to certain other places in my life where I only want to get to the goal. And so I've got to apply that same thinking, right? And so falling in love with each of the steps along the way and making those smaller pieces of the puzzle the goal. So for example, on 75 hard, we have to drink a gallon of water a day, which is 4 liters. I measure it out in the morning. And I'm pretty good. It's pretty easy for me to do because I was probably already drinking about that before, maybe not quite as much. But instead, what I'm trying to play with is getting really excited about drinking 1 glass of water instead of drinking the 4 liters of water, right? So it's incremental connection to celebration as opposed to only the big win is the thing. And then that way I feel like I'm doing something towards it, because I think with impatience, it's like it's in the meantime, what can we control? And, I'm using these personal little examples, but it can also be waiting for somebody on the team to finish something, waiting for your accountant to send something, waiting for a client to do this, right? Like, it can all happen. And it's interesting because I'm very patient with sales. I'll throw that out there. So I'm going to challenge you. Figure out, what are you patient about and what are you impatient about? Where is that showing up? Like, I've had clients who I've worked on, like, building a relationship and saying, hey, I've got this great stuff for you, and how can I serve, and what's going on with your team? And I'll do that for 3 or 4 years. And then finally something happens, right? And so totally patient with regards to that. Probably shouldn't be so patient, actually, but interesting. So figuring out, where are you and where are you not? And noticing those patterns. And I think what really connected for me, and forgive me if I've already said this, but is life is so short. And so all of this time when I'm like, oh, I want to get to the end of day 2. Oh, I want to get to the end of day 3. I want to, because I'm going for 75 days, is like, I'm literally willing my life to speed up. When in fact, life is so short that I should be trying to slow it down, right? Like, embrace and feel every moment. And so it's just really an interesting shift when you're like, okay, yeah, that's going to happen later. And I'm okay with that. And right now I'm working towards that. And I'm feeling good about that. Another comment. That's a great point. I think that is why some straightforward tasks like shoveling the driveway are satisfying, because there is a beginning, a middle, and an end, as opposed to so many tasks that seem perpetual. Yes. And you know what? There are tasks, well, according to the weather people, the winter we're about to have, you may not feel like it's quite as satisfying, because it may never end, the snow. I digress. I saw that on the news the other day. We're going to have a really snowy winter. But here's the thing. It's like, there's so many things that are mundane. But when you actually look at our lives, it's the mundane that comprises most of it, right? We sleep, we brush our teeth, we do the dishes, we eat, like all of those different pieces of the puzzle. And they all connect, like even with losing weight as a goal and being impatient. Like I'm on day 11 of 75. I did not join this challenge of 75 hard in order to lose weight. It wasn't my primary motivation. It was about mental discipline. It's about not being controlled by outside forces. It was like a whole bunch of things I just want to test. Can I do it? But weight is like, oh, well, now I'm working out twice a day and I'm not eating any sugar and I'm not eating any dairy. Of course, I'm going to lose weight. Not very quickly. So, I'm on the scale and measuring myself and going, why is it not happening faster? And so this is the impatience. And it's like the journey is 75 days. Don't try to like spoil what's going to be learned on day 11 today, day 25, day 35 by skipping ahead and only focusing on number 75. But yes, this idea of beginning, middle, end, what are the pieces of the puzzle that you can connect to find a sense of satisfaction and achievement, even as you push forward to the bigger goal, right? Which ultimately we want, but like getting the goal is not the win often. It's the journey to get there, as cliche as it sounds. And then one of the things I have noticed, and again, using the 75 hard example, is I'll be doing a walk run or I'll be at the gym or whatever, and I'll want to click off second workout done, first workout done, but it's not done. I'm in the middle of it. And so what is that? And this is where we get compassionately curious and say, okay, why am I so focused on that? All right. Charity has a point here. You have really brought some great points to the surface. I'm going to run these same questions by the youth group and get their input to see what they notice. Absolutely. Please do. You know what? If somebody would have had these conversations with me when I was younger, I would have loved it. So I'm glad you're going to do that. Are they learning impatience by seeing us all be impatient? Or is it organically? It doesn't all show. So let me see. I'll keep reading. Are they learning impatience by seeing us all be impatient, or is it organically developing? Oh, that's a good question, Charity. That's a great question. And I'm going to make up an answer. Let me think. So I think there are many, many, many factors that are magnifying this. And as a part of being in society, it's easy to fall prey to it unless we're going to interrupt the pattern and be self-aware and find a solution for ourselves and doing some of these things that I'm playing with to try to stop it in me. Because ultimately, when we're impatient, it can cause anxiety. It can cause a lack of, enjoyment, to get to the end of our lives. And did you smell the roses? I mean, there are just lots of different things we could fill in the blank. So I think if you look at the attention span, and a lot of people talk about this, it has dwindled significantly in our world. And I don't know what the stats are right now, but I suspect that with Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat, etc., down for the day, that there are people who are really struggling with what to do with their time. People who are constantly checking, constantly on Messenger, constantly posting. That would be potentially quite frustrating for them. And so I think partly it's society. I think it's partly our patterns. It is the difference. If you look at the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, I think you say it, she talks a lot about, being attached to the end outcome versus being attached to the journey and what it takes to get there. So being like, even with youth, and actually, Charity, as you're working with youth, that would be, if you haven't read that book already, I would absolutely recommend it, because she is talking about how we learned this earlier, and coaches and leaders and everything can talk to youth to be like, okay, are you celebrating the trophy, or are you celebrating the practice to get you to the trophy? And that distinction has a lot to do with how people will show up later in their lives and potentially could influence their level of patience and their expectation and their feelings of satisfaction. And I think actually with her, she's not suggesting we don't give the trophy. The trophy is great, which I know some people think, oh, no trophies. I'm like, bring it on. We got to learn when we win, when we lose, and that's all right to do either. It's getting connected to the steps along the way. Greg has an answer for this. Oh, wait, I'm going to go up here first. So important also to keep a global view of the team's end goal. There's nothing great about passing the ball to someone and not sticking around long enough to see if the ball was caught. That's a good point. I'm not even going to comment on it. I'm just going to leave it. Yeah. I think there's a tendency to play clear the desk and sometimes expecting others to fill the blanks of incomplete information, which is unfair and causes obstacles. Very, very true. And this comes into teamwork and with regards to the impatience of I got to get this off my desk. And so I'm not going to do the full job. Like it could really actually, having the habit of impatience could impact many areas of our life. If you think about it, it's really quite fascinating. I think one of the other things I'm doing with trying to train my own level of patience is gamification. So when I notice that I want to check it off on the app, I'm like, no, I'm gonna wait. Go check it off tonight and just leave it hanging and then feel that uncomfortableness of just hanging. Or even, waiting for somebody to get back to me with something, like one of the people on the team and, oh, they're working on that and I can't move forward till I get this. Well, I had that happen earlier today. Total squirrel moment. There was this huge pile of nut things on my deck. And so I took them off because they were on my deck. This pile of things. The squirrel has just come back. He's trying to find his pile of nuts. I'm like, sorry, buddy, you got to put them back together. Anyway, I literally just saw that happen. And I wish I had my camera turned around so you could see it too. But he left and very sad. Anyway, thought that was funny. I hope you thought that was funny. I'm feeling very sad that I kicked his pile off of my deck at this moment. Anyway, wasn't going to stay there forever. But this concept of gamification, back to impatience, of testing yourself. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the marshmallow experiment. I mean, it has been cited thousands of times with professional speakers and motivational speakers and different psychology, reports and everything. And I don't even know if it was ever really, if it's still depicted the proper way it originally started. But essentially it was this. They put some 4 or 5-year-olds in a room and they gave them a marshmallow. And they said, if you don't eat this marshmallow for an hour or whatever it was, when I come back, you're going to get 2 marshmallows. And most of the kids, as you could imagine, could not resist eating the first marshmallow. And they would eat but a couple of them did, right? Or however many did. I, again, not citing, I'm citing the story and the essence of the story, not the actual research study. Anyway, they followed these people in their lives. And the people who could practice delayed gratification, the ones who could sit there and look at the yummy marshmallow for an hour and not eat it and got 2, over the course of their lives were significantly more successful. So the legend goes. Yeah. Squirrel emoji. Am I going nuts? Right. He literally was like, my best squirrel impression. Where to go? That was awesome. Thank you for playing along with the squirrel thing for me. Appreciate that. Yeah. So I think like if we can gamify it and then like pushing it further, right? So, one of the things with not having any sugar or dairy on the course of my 75 hard for the 75 days. And again, I'm only 11 days in, and, let's hope I can do it for 75. I mean, obviously I'm a little more committed than let's hope I can do it. I plan to do it. But even before that, so if you have a craving for ice cream and I would go, okay, let's go get it. Quick start. Right. And then I would, go have it without even thinking. But now it's like, no, okay, just because I have a craving, just because I want to do something, just because I have an impulse and I want to do it now, whatever that thing is, right? Like I want to get the website done now. I want to get the new video done now. I want to get, the SEO all fixed up now, like all of that stuff. It's like, no, okay. And it'll get done eventually. We're not triaging heart attacks here. So it's about the perspective, right? And gamifying it a little bit. I think that I find the challenge in the waiting to be really important. And then there's this is impatience that I'm talking about to reach a goal or to see the end of something that you have planned to get done. Or even if you're waiting for a big night out, I'm really excited. I've got a full keynote in front of a live audience on Wednesday in London. And then I've got I'm going to be facilitating a panel on Wednesday afternoon, and I'm so excited. And I notice myself again, feeling impatient, oh my gosh, let's get there. I want to get on, into the room and see the people and start speaking. And it's like, no, Allison, that's on Wednesday. That's Wednesday's excitement. What's today's excitement? And so playing with that, right? And then the other type of impatience, which I haven't even started to figure out yet, is when you're in the middle of the heated moment, when somebody's not rushing or they're not rushing and you're in a rush. I guess I have figured out that to some degree, not necessarily with my, my mom. Right? Sometimes, the people closest to you often get that. It's like, come on. But again, it's how can you reset and just be okay with something taking longer than what you want it to take? In other words, lack of momentum. That's why it's so important to celebrate the wins along the way. That isolated but intentional positivity powers that momentum that is missing during the journey. Yes. But let me go to your first comment to make that one even better here. That is a great point. I want to go back to it. I believe impatience is rooted in not being able to achieve a goal. Think about traffic, time, distance, destination. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I can play that game. I think it is in one way. And I was thinking about impatience of I'm going to get the goal. And so I want it to be done now. Total confidence that I'm going to get there. But you're right. It also can work this backwards way of I'm not going to be able to do it. So it's completely out of my control. And so now I'm going to be even more frustrated. Lack of momentum. All comes back to momentum. Yeah. And so I'm thinking part of what I do with the tasking, as you already know this, Greg, is I'm putting the little wins in place so that you can have the sense of momentum. And so how can we do that with other goals that maybe aren't on a to-do list? Right? Manufacture that. Anyway, there's my thinking for today. Falling in love with the mundane, right? Doing the same thing, getting to the goal, doing the work to get there. Getting excited about each and every pillar across the way. That's the important thing. We'll test it. 75 hard. When I'm done this, that'll be a really interesting time at the end of 75 days. And to really check, what does it do? He claims that it increases your confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, self-belief, your grit, your fortitude, your discipline, your determination, your perseverance. That's a lot for 75 days, but you know what? I'm 11 days in and I think he may be right. I'm going back to teams, maybe asking, what is one thing I can take off your plate? Perhaps someone else's adversity is your task. How awesome is that? So true, right? Different perspectives. Amazing. All right. I think that's where we're going to call it today. Sorry to the people on Facebook who couldn't be here. I have to come over to LinkedIn and YouTube, where we seem to be still in the internet mode. We're still good. All right. Awesome to spend time with you as always. I will see you tomorrow. We're going to talk about comfort zone. The reason I chose that topic for tomorrow is because I got a notification from 2010 on an article that I wrote for Sun Media on expanding your comfort zone. So I'm going to share that in the morning. You can look for it, and then we'll have a conversation about expanding your comfort zone tomorrow at 3:15 p.m. And until then, may you stress less, do more, and be happier. Thanks for joining.